Welcome to the Dolphin Radio Show. This week we had massive flooding in Texas, a public case of fair use, and various other news stories to discuss for the week. I'm your host, the Porpoise with a Purpose and a Face for Radio. And joining me this week is Tim Huggins, aka Politely Atheist, and The Finer Print. You can check out both of their channels in the description below. Welcome to the show, guys.
Hey.
Thank you.
So, Tim, that was on you first, just in case you missed it. All right, so I'd like to start off with a story that's really close to my heart. I was born and raised in Houston, Texas, and I have family members calling me going, hey, you know how every time it flooded we didn't see anything? Yeah, well, the water's in my living room now. So it's much worse than it's ever been there. But I gotta say, man, Houston is making the rest of the country look like a bunch of self-righteous assholes, because like it seems like nobody in Houston is being selfish about this. It doesn't seem to matter what color people's skins are, what their gender is, or anything like that. And the only people acting like asses like that are outside of Houston. What do you guys think?
Tim? No, I mean, look, to me,
I've been seeing it all over Twitter.
All right. We're gonna let Tim sit back for a moment.
Tim.
Your programming is malfunctioning.
You're roboting pretty hard there, so why don't you hit refresh and join us back?
You need to reset your speech program. And oh, it sounds like you're all right now. Give it a shot.
Yeah, I was under the viaduct in Seattle. That thing's a bitch.
So don't talk under the. All right. So you were saying anyway.
No, I was just referring to like all the SJWs on Twitter, and I've even heard some like alt-right people kind of go real hardcore. You know how there's one famous picture of this guy holding this Asian lady and her baby walking through the flood water, and there was some like alt-right people saying, you know, talking about the patriarchy and all this kind of stuff.
Yeah, I did see that.
Yeah, it's pretty famous. There was this gender study professor who was saying that if there wasn't a patriarchy, that woman would have been carrying her baby by herself and blah blah blah. And I'm just like, for fuck's sake, okay, like, can't we just all just be happy that someone was helping her out, helping her and her baby, like.
Can't we just be happy for a moment that people from Texas City, Waco, Austin, San Antonio, all over North Louisiana and Arkansas are like driving in and bringing their boats and like just going, you know what? We're just here to help. Like I don't care what color your skin is. I don't care what's dangling between your legs or who you like to stick it in. I really just want to help. And I love that. It's my hometown, man.
I didn't know you're from Houston.
Yes, born and raised. I spent 14 years there. That's why I'm so crazy, by the way.
So tell you mentioned before that the flooding would be fairly regular, probably not to this level, but
oh yeah, I mean, when I was going to school, specifically when I moved from elementary school, because in Houston you have every single school district is independent. So the local taxes pay for local schools. The state receives no federal income. So when it comes to elementary schools, the elementary schools are basically almost one to a neighborhood. And the neighborhoods in Texas are much larger than they are elsewhere. You know, a neighborhood will have close to 1,200 or 1,400 houses. And that those 1,400 houses will be served by one school. And so I didn't see a lot of this when I went to elementary, but when I went to middle school, there were, I would say, probably about 1 out of every 10 days, a good chunk of our students would ride the boat to the bus to school. And that's just from the flooding.
Because I don't really know the geography of the area so much to really make any kind of assumption about the flooding there. but it is prone to flooding.
Yes, yes, it is actually very prone to flooding. In fact, Houston gets a tremendous amount of rain every year. It's basically a swamp. It's very flat. There's almost no hills, and where there are high parts of the city, it's unnoticeable because it's just a gentle, gradual slope that occurs over miles. You know, there aren't hills and mountains in Houston. But they do have these enormous, and I want to say they're about 20-foot deep and probably 30-foot across at the top, these giant trenches, and they're bayous, and they run through basically every neighborhood. They run through every major causeway. They run throughout the city, and they're for drainage for all the flooding that does occur in Houston. And apparently, from what I've been told, they're all overflowed. Every single one of them is overflowing.
Jesus.
Yeah, Houston is really a concrete bowl. Kerry Waska is in the chat telling us Houston's a concrete bowl. It really is. I grew up there. It's about as flat as you can get, and when it does rain, it all just sits and just starts piling up. And they have a great drainage system, but it's just not meant to handle this volume. Honestly, I don't think any drainage system is. I don't think Seattle could prepare for this level of rain.
It does rain a lot more in Seattle than it does in Houston. So
I know, but you're not talking about 10 inches a day for 5 days straight.
Yeah, it's like Houston can get the amount of rainfall that Seattle gets in a year in one day. You know, it's just the thing about Seattle is you get this real light sprinkling like throughout the year, and you know, if it rains the way it does like in the South, you know, and I know because I used to live in Atlanta. And when it would rain, it would just drench you. But here in Seattle, there's actually a joke that you could tell if someone's not from Seattle by telling if they have an umbrella during rainfall. Just because typically you don't need it. And it's also like a really douchey thing that Seattle people are like that. They think they're too good for umbrellas. But
Seattle people think they're too good for anything, so.
It's true.
Well, places like Seattle and Atlanta, they have a lot of topographical differentiation. They have a lot of hills. They have a lot of valleys. You know, there's a lot of stuff like that. If you go to Houston, it's literally flat. It's giant flat. And what's not made of concrete is more than likely to sink if you put too much water on it.
Yeah.
But I am very impressed with my Houstonian brethren over there, making the rest of the nation look like a bunch of assholes who just can't seem to get along. Yeah.
It is a little bit to see that, and it is a little bit I would say upsetting that I can't really get in on, you know, on the love, so to speak, because I'm so far away. And I mean, I plan on donating some money, but you know, talking to a few people who are affected, you know, and they say, oh, you know, I'm on my way. I'm gonna do what I can. I'm gonna donate food. You know, I got a boat. I'll help you out. I think Dire Wolf, he's in Houston right now, helping rescue people, and it's just like, for one point in your life, you start to realize people are, you know, decent.
Yeah. Well, in my opinion, pretty much the whole world is full of really, really shitty people until that brief moment where everybody gets hit really hard, and then it's full of really wonderful people for about a day or two.
Well, do you think that we'll see something that's going to be similar to what happened with Katrina?
I don't. I really don't. Houston just has way too much infrastructure, and it's way too well managed. It's far too rich a city. Basically, every single oil pipeline hub starts in Houston. That's not it. You are not going to be able to shut down the city of Houston without the whole nation being crippled.
Well,
New Orleans is kind of a one-trick pony. You know, they are just, most of the revenue comes from tourism and service industry, and Houston is very, very diverse.
Yeah, and it has a huge number of industries that are based. out of Houston that yeah, like the oil. You have a lot. You also have to understand that Houston is probably one of the biggest port cities in the world.
Yeah.
The Galveston Bay port. I mean, Houston's just set up to have an enormous port, so a huge amount of shipping that would normally go to New Orleans or to, say, I think Charleston's the biggest on the East Coast, or LA on the West Coast. Basically, everything that needs to go throughout the whole country comes in through Houston if it's coming through the Atlantic Ocean and through the Gulf. Yeah, it's such an enormous port. You have no idea how much shipping comes in there.
Oh, I'm sure.
You could probably take Charleston. You could probably take all the Eastern Seaboard ports and put them together, and that would be like, getting close.
Well, you'll be happy to hear that the Southern Poverty Law Center already started drawing equivocations between what happened in Katrina and what happens here in Harvey. I posted a link on the side chat to one of their tweets earlier today. And,
the Southern Poverty Law Center is, to me, a huge propaganda bureaucracy. That's what their job is. Their job is to say who you're supposed to hate.
Unfortunately not. Unfortunately, what they do is affect policy, it would appear, at least.
Yeah, and that's the scary part about my perception of their job, because what their job seems to come down to, in a practical sense, like what they do to accomplish their job, is to tell everyone who the bad guys are.
Right.
To be honest, though, they used to be a legitimate organization at one point, and then from what I understand, and it's what's slowly happening to the ACLU, is they're being infiltrated by the SJWs. And I feel like I'm a conspiracy theorist by saying that, but I've actually met with people who just joined the ACLU, and they're very upset that the organization isn't more diverse. They're very upset about the politics of some of the members, and the Southern Poverty Law Center, they're already toast, in my opinion. They've lost credibility.
When they refuse to acknowledge Antifa's dangers, then I'm going to have an issue.
Yeah, I think I would lend more credence to the ACLU because they have been coming out in defense of people like Milo Yiannopoulos.
Yeah.
The SPLC, however, and that tweet, and I try to post it on the chat, not in the side chat. I think that what they're doing, and that was like the origination point of that organization to begin with, is to be that divisive organization.
Mm-hmm. Well, I mean, I remember I used to live in North Idaho, and I don't know if you guys know anything about North Idaho, but it used to be the headquarters for the Aryan Nation, a white supremacist neo-Nazi group. And they were there for a long time. And the SPLU, the Southern Poverty Law Center, they would always be coming out to North Idaho. They would interview all the residents, and they would kind of explain what they can and can't do to remove that organization, because they were really damaging. But the thing about them is everything that they would say is within legal means. They would say this group is a hate group because of this. They wouldn't say this is a hate group because of reasons,
Mm-hmm.
It's like to the point where you start labeling Pepe the Frog as, a hate symbol. It's kind of like, you kind of lost everything at that point.
Yep.
Yeah. I get really annoyed with anybody that's going to use this kind of tragedy to push some sort of a narrative. Look, if you're going to use this, if you're going to bring attention to it, then bring attention to, look, if you can help. If you can donate. If you can get in there with a boat, get in there with a boat. But other than that, I'm not very fond of the idea of just people exploiting a tragedy.
Well, so obviously you weren't looking at Anision's Twitter yesterday.
Oh no, I actually try not to get cancer on a day-to-day basis. I don't know if you guys know this or not, but I tend to not pay a lot of attention to stupid people.
Well, I have noticed that a lot of, and it's kind of embarrassing to me, but there has been a lot of atheists who have been kind of saying, well, so and so, if there is a God, then why did, God let this happen? And I'm just kind of like, just give it a few days, guys. Give it a few days.
Yeah, give it a moment. Let
Natural
people
selection will
suffer.
take its course.
Yeah. And see, that's where, and I think I had talked to you about this, and we had kind of a back and forth about this, about atheists, is I don't mind atheists. I don't like anti-theists who are just going to say, look, your religion is just like your lack of religion. It's very much like a penis. You can have it, you can be proud of it, you can base your whole life around it if you want, but the minute you whip it out in public and start shoving it down my kids' throats, we're going to have a problem.
Yeah. Next time you make that metaphor, just, say not your kids, that's, wow.
Yeah. Well, I think it makes more of an impact when you say, don't try to shove it down my kid's throat.
Christ. Yeah, different
Here's
morals.
the atheist. The atheist saying Christ. I love it, man.
Hey, you know what?
No.
There's nothing better than some good old Christian swear words.
Come bite my thumb.
But all right, so from the depressing / uplifting talk about Houston, let's go on to talk about Berkeley.
Right.
Yay! So I know this is going to sound a lot like a joke, but what do you get when you mix a free speech rally with a cancellation and nobody tells Antifa?
A peach cobbler.
You get Berkeley. So apparently there was a mass rally, free speech rally type thing that was going to be happening. Antifa caught wind of this. And they said, well, we're going to go counter protest like they do. And they all got all fired up, but they forgot to check the updates because apparently whoever staged the event said, all right, we had some problems, some scheduling conflicts. I guess we're going to have to cancel it. Oh, everybody gets sad. None of the people that went to the actual event went. They all stayed home because the event had been canceled. But of course, Antifa didn't get the message. So they showed up and did what Antifa does. By the way, you guys, I don't know how big fans of Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy you are, but I thought of a great analogy for this. In the Hitchhiker's Guide, there's this species called the armor fiends of Striderax. And they're considered the most hostile and aggressive species ever known in the universe. And they're so aggressive that the best way to deal with them is to leave them alone, because eventually they'll just beat themselves up. Antifa are the armor fiends of Striderax. They effectively, when left in an area grouped by themselves, began to beat each other up. So, I mean, it's like beyond that and the destruction and the rioting and the no more Nazis when there's literally nobody there but Antifa. It was beautiful. It was a beautiful thing.
It kind of reminds me of any kind of mass protests being held here in Seattle. Like there's always these big rallies and BLM protests, and there's like literally no counter protest. I mean, they're just sucking their own dicks at that point. It's kind of like, what is this for? Like, why protest when everyone fucking agrees with you?
Well, I mean, here's the thing is, BLM goes out there and protests, and they want the counter protest, but they don't really they've set up their name and their marketing and their slogans specifically to engage the counter protest so that they can go out there and go, Black Lives Matter, and then point their camera at whoever's going to go, no, they don't. That's what
it's like having a bake sale. It's like having a bake sale when you're at a pie eating contest.
Yeah, exactly. Like, okay, we're going to go to the rare book collection meeting and talk about how Kindles are ruining the world, like we're brave and unique. Like, no, you're just sharing the same exact idea that everybody surrounding you believes in. It's the same thing. Like, what's her name? Bruce Jenner is not a hero. Whatever. Caitlyn Jenner is not a hero. Okay, so you did something that was actually quite popular at the time, and you made it really public. Yeah, that's not brave.
Nope.
I mean, like, I knew transgenders that still use the term pre-op and post-op because they were transgenders before Bruce became Caitlyn, before it became the hip new thing to do. And they're just like, no, that's not brave. What I did was brave. All right, being disowned by my family, being treated like shit by everyone, having to fight for every inch, that's brave. Bruce, no, not so much. And BLM, it's the same way. You're literally standing up there going, you shouldn't kill us because we're black. And the rest of us are going, yes, we know that. Now quit pointing at your skin color and saying this is the most relevant thing about me.
Well, in a lot of ways, though, Black Lives Matter is very similar to Antifa when it comes to the aims of the organization. Is the assumption is they're waiting for the counter protests. Like it's all about the counter protests, so that they could really prove their message. So with BLM, all they're waiting for is just one motherfucker to say all lives matter, and they're like, gotcha.
Gotcha.
Yep, you said all lives matter. You're a fucking racist. I knew it.
It's all bait. It's all bait. Like that's why they market the way they do. It's why they name themselves the way they do. But you know, Antifa, we're anti-fascist. That way, you won't accuse us of fascism when we start using fascist tactics. But look, I'm gonna go back to Tywin Lannister and say, he who must say I am the king is no king at all. If you have to call yourself anti-fascist, you're compensating for something.
And they also love to complain about how people like us are anti-feminist or anti-this or anti-that.
I'll directly call myself an anti-feminist. If you ask me, do I oppose second wave feminism, first wave feminism, I'll say absolutely not. Absolutely not. I come from like I didn't have very much of a father figure, and I adore my mother and my sisters, who are all very strong women. They don't need feminism, and if you tell them they'll need feminism, they'll punch you in the face, kick you in your cunt, and ask you why they need feminism now that you're on the ground and they're standing above you. No, they don't need a group to support them. They're badass bitches. They don't need your shit.
Yeah.
Well, I think the reason why we call ourselves anti-feminist is just because there is no appropriate term to just describe regular people who don't give in to the feminist ideology.
Yeah, it's not that I oppose all the things that you claim to be for. It's that I oppose your methods. It's that I oppose your labels. It's that I oppose your identity politics.
Well, I don't know about you guys, but I'm all for ending women's suffrage.
Man, take that shit to Saudi Arabia where it belongs.
No, look, I agree with you, but it's like I'm not a negative person. I'm not anti anything. maybe I'm anti stupid. You know, it's like
I could see that. I mean,
yeah.
Go on, sell me.
Sell you. The problem with identity politics and intersectional feminism and Islam and all of those things that we are railing against is that they all appear to be in cahoots on this. And it doesn't appear to me like we have a cohesive front, because every time somebody comes out with something that contradicts the main narrative from our end, we're all like, well, you can't say that. You can't be a centrist. You can't be this. You can't be that. You have to be this. And it's like,
what? Who is saying this? Who is saying that?
Well,
I don't.
We're using them a lot. We should
exactly.
narrow it a little bit.
Exactly. We need to be more focused, in my opinion. And I'm not going to give examples because I don't want to name any names here. But you know, no, I'm being serious. I don't want to name names here. But it's like what I think it was Sargon that said, everything is a purity test for these people. We can't allow ourselves to become these Puritans that only rely on, you know, oh, you hold these beliefs, therefore you're on my side. You're not, okay, you're a this, you're a that, you're an SJW. You know what I mean?
Well, here's the thing is that they have an endless line of morality questions that you have to answer before they will even confer with you. And if you approach them saying, I oppose your ideas. They're going to make you say, all right, do you support Nazis then? No, my fucking family's in America because of those assholes. Thank you very much for reminding me of that. But no, I don't. Well, then you support that. No, I don't. Well, then you support that. No, I don't. Please stop assuming what I support. Please stop assuming my perception of reality. And they're going to do that because what they're looking for is they're looking for you to admit something that you've done wrong. It's like Scientology. What are your crimes? What are your crimes? What are your crimes? Until you admit that something you've done so wrong, that way they can just basically say, all right, well, you're a shitty person. Fuck you.
Yeah. Well, the other thing to consider is when we're talking about morality and we're talking about any of their actual philosophies, is they're pretty fucking weak. They're not really based on anything firm. The firmest thing that they're based on is Marxism, and that's pretty disturbing. And so when you start questioning them about morality, like you do it to them, they get in a corner. They don't know what to say. They most of them don't research philosophy. They don't really know anything about it. So they're saying, "Oh, you're immoral." I'm like, "Well, what is morality?" What? Well, what is morality? How am I immoral? Then they don't really know what to say because they're postmodernists and they don't. Their philosophy is not really based on anything concrete. So yeah, I would keep that in mind next time you deal with them. And the best thing to do is just ignore them, though.
Oh no, I don't think you can ignore Antifa. I think you have to face them, you have to confront them, and you have to oppose them.
No, I'm sorry, but I have to disagree with that. The only reason that the KKK and the white nationalists and the American National Socialist Party have been on the fringe for as long as they have was because they have been marginalized and ignored. And now what's happening is that Antifa has emboldened those people because they're giving them legitimization to go out on the street and say, you know what, we're going to fight you back. And it tars everybody in the same feather. So in my opinion, no, we should not give Antifa the time of day. We should ignore them. As soon as you see them on the street, just walk away.
Yeah, and I understand. That's actually a very good argument, and you've very well convinced me. I'm going to go ahead and give you points on that. You've convinced me that that is the best way to go. However, I'm going to point out one simple truth, is that before the KKK and the white nationalists were marginalized, significant legal and social pressure had to be put upon them to stop doing what they were doing. They did have to be brought to heel and then considered fringe and then considered not worth paying attention to.
Yes and no. Yes and no. And I'll refer you to I think it was 1977, the Skokie affair.
Is that where they were hunting down all the is that where that there was like a detective who was that? There was a detective like hunting down individual KKK members one by one.
No. You're thinking about Jeff Sessions, I think, and I think that was like in Arizona.
No, it wasn't Sessions. It was another case. But all right, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
The Skokie affair was a case that was brought in front of the Supreme Court where the American National Socialist Party chapter in Chicago, Illinois, decided to hold a march, and it decided to hold a march in a village called Skokie, where the vast majority of the population were Holocaust survivors. So they, of course, railed against it, and they had demonstrations and they had all of that fun stuff. And the Supreme Court actually found in favor of the American National Socialist Party because it defined that as free speech. And the fact that they had a bad idea doesn't mean that they're not allowed to voice it.
Oh, no. I agree with that entirely. Absolutely.
Okay.
But how does this case relate to the actions? Because there were a lot of actions taken against the KKK and against white nationalist groups in the South during the 60s and 70s.
When they broke the law, yes. When they broke the law, actions were taken to delegitimize them, marginalize them, and like you said, bring them to heel.
Bring them to heel. And that's what I say needs to be done with Antifa before we begin the marginalization.
in my opinion, three major right-wing fringe nationalist groups that are quote unquote
Are you sure
problematic.
they're nationalists?
Yes,
Because
well,
you threw the
well,
word nationalist in there, and it sounded like a slander. And I don't think that a nationalist is a bad person by being proud of their nation.
no. What I'm saying is extreme right-wing.
Okay.
Let's say
Supremacists. We won't say skin color. We'll just say
not
supremacists.
all supremacists, but yeah, let's just say that just for
A generalization term.
Yeah, so there's three
Extreme
major
radicals.
groups. Yes, there's three major groups, and all three, well, two are fringe, and one is actually very popular. And two is the KKK. The second one's the neo Nazis, and the third one are militia groups. And militia groups are actually very, very, very popular, and especially in my neck of the woods, they're fucking everywhere, you know, and they're very popular.
Now I'm gonna
I
have to
won't
go
say
ahead
that
and
they're
call
all
you out because
you
I'm
know.
actually a militia member. And when you say militia groups, what are you referring to? Are you referring to legitimate, standardized militias?
No, I'm referring to groups that go out into the woods and practice possibly taking down the government. If
Oh, you're talking about militant groups. So, okay, you had me
Not a
really
militia.
upset there for a
Yeah.
second. Like
Not a
militias
militia,
are
but
very
militants.
okay.
so the thing is, two of those groups became fringe because of two major events. The KKK, after Jim Crow laws fell, lost a lot of legitimacy and lost a huge amount of their membership too. Once people realize that they can't do the thing that they're promising, and they became fringe from that. The neo-Nazi, well, before they were Nazis, but World War II really killed anything positive that they were trying to do.
Yeah, and I gotta be honest. The neo Nazis are not even really very good Nazis. They're like terrible at being Nazis. Like if you look at what the Nazis did and what the neo Nazis argue, it's just like, dude,
They'll be
you
kicked
really
out of
need
the
to
rally in Nuremberg in no time.
you guys would be fucking executed in Nuremberg as gypsies.
Well, the problem that I'm having is not the ideology that they're preaching doesn't work in America. Fascism, it's just like it sounds like the worst fucking thing in the world. It's like, oh, all power to the state, and everybody's like, nah, you know.
Well, fascism. Mussolini, the man who created fascism, said it could be more properly termed corporatism, which is actually something that the left doesn't seem to have a problem with.
Nope.
In fact, I hear CNN all the time referring to, oh, it's just corporatism. It's no big deal. Oh, it's just corporatism. It's no big deal. Fascism, Mussolini, the man who made it, said it could be easily called corporatism because it's integrating businesses with the state in a corporate model.
Yeah. No, but I mean, let's not conflate the left wing with fascism because they're not related.
Why not?
They're very, 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 very
Okay, so
similar in a lot of ways.
The left. What's the end goal of the left?
I don't know. What is their stated end goal, or what is their actual end goal?
Hold on. Define left. If we're referring to the American left, that's one thing. If you're referring to European type of left, that's another thing.
Let's talk about the European left because that's exactly why fascism came about. Is Mussolini's dissatisfaction with the Socialist Party, and his feeling that it didn't it lessened the role of the nation of Italy. He thought that they were going towards this universal goal, and he was thinking that it just left Italy in the dust. So fascism is all about reaching territorial homelands of the ethnic group of where the country exists, and dominance over a certain geographical area. And then once they reach that utopian stage, then they can just be peaceful farmers or whatever the hell they're talking about.
Well, it's a bit of an oversimplification, but yeah. You're leaving out industry, and then the fact that there's only one ruler. There's a suspension of all civil and human rights until we reach the utopia.
we don't have all day talking
Yeah,
about
no. I understand that.
This is a 1 hour
in that-
show, buddy.
Okay, I'm sorry. So in that regards, European left is more akin to socialism as we
Yeah.
see it in America.
Yes.
And we should also mention that the European right traditionally dealt with the monarch, and the monarch always had a certain amount of control. So right and left didn't really necessarily have to deal with how big the government was in
Mhm.
Europe.
Mhm.
That was mostly in America where that distinction started to get applied. That's
Yep.
why to this day, Americans still say that fascists are left wing. And I guess according to American standards, it could be considered that, but not according to their own standards in Europe.
Yeah, see, this is a problem I started running into in my late 20s when I started listening to terms like conservative, meaning to conserve, and thinking, well, they want to, get rid of uh, environmental standards, and then hearing liberal and thinking, oh, they're liberal, but yet they want to tell you what you can and cannot say. And it's just like it confuses me how often left and right, liberal and conservative, and all these other things get thrown around as if they mean something anymore.
No,
Well,
they don't.
I think they do to an extent.
I think
Like-
that they do. I think they represent an ideal, but that ideal is unique for each individual.
Yeah, my policy is I don't apply any kind of ideology that has like a utopian end. So
No.
fascism-
Hope not for a good life, but rather the strength to endure a difficult one.
Yeah, if you're
It's-
gonna chase a utopia, you're gonna end up in a dystopia.
Yep.
Yeah, if you think there's an easy life at the end of this, you haven't been paying attention. Anyway, that I think will bring us around to our final story for the week. Let's talk about Sargon of Akkad and his fair use. There's been about a week for this whole story to come full circle. I know my news show is on Wednesday, and that kind of really puts me in an awkward position to talk about the news. But people have had a lot of time to talk about this particular story, and that's why I saved it for the end. How do you guys think Sargon's going to fare on this one?
Badly.
He's gonna get burned.
He's gonna
I
get
think he
burned
is.
pretty badly.
I think he is too. I think he screwed up.
Yep. I think if he had left it alone and took the video down when she flagged it originally, he probably wouldn't have that much of a problem. But he utilized a broken system, which was YouTube's appeal system, and got the video reinstated, and then went over to her and went, haha, I got it back.
Yeah, and kind of rubbed it in her face. And
If he had not done that, I don't think that we would have been, we would see that lawsuit.
Discussing this now, yeah. And this, I think that's a kind of a message to the shitlords. Like, know your boundaries. Like, don't cross that line. Don't be that douche. But yeah, I'm sorry. Go on.
Go
Finer.
ahead, Tim.
Well, I'm a little. Well, I can't say I'm disappointed because, to me, Sargon is 50-50. He's actually relatively well read. He knows his philosophy. He knows his history, and he does pretty decent research for news article.
Yeah, he's not unintelligent.
Well,
I'm
what's
sorry.
that?
Go on. I said he's not unintelligent. He's very, very, very capable.
Yes, but there's this other side of him that is a fucking internet troll. He just wants this. He wants that laugh. He wants to troll people. He wants to have fun doing it. It's like about half of him is like Mr. Medicare, and the other half is this really serious political commentator. And he's trying to be both, and it's just not working. Like he's got to pick one or the other.
Well, see, I think the thing with Sargon is he has too much fun being the other. Like, and he doesn't want to not do that. But at the same time, And I don't want to talk about public responsibility. I sound like such a hypocrite because I will rail against people who believe that celebrities have some sort of responsibility to the public. Now, fuck that. But seriously, Sargon, you're not a celebrity. You're a fucking spearhead of a movement, you asshole. Take some responsibility for that position.
Yeah. And what do you think? What do you think? I mean, do you think he should settle if he has that option?
I feel like he should. I feel like he should admit that what he did was wrong, and that he should ask her if she can settle out of court.
Yeah.
I think that she's asking for way too much money.
Well, yeah, that's. I actually went to the video that she posted and just told her, look, I'm a fan. I think what you're doing is wrong, but at the same time, I appreciate you coming out and being clear about it. But I hope you lose. I hope you lose, because otherwise it just sets a really bad precedent for everybody.
Yeah, I think he needs to settle out of court, and I think that she needs to be willing to accept, say, $10,000 to $12,000, because that's realistically all you're really worth for that video. I mean, not that that's what you're worth. I'm sorry, that was the wrong terminology. I apologize.
That's all right.
In all reality, that's what that video is worth. That in all reality, with the amount of, you'll probably get a lot more clicks because Sargon trolled you. I mean, think about Justin Timberlake when he got ripped on by Eminem. Was like, no, it's the best thing that ever happened in my career. Yeah. It really could be. Like, just milk it.
Justin Timberlake didn't sue Eminem.
No.
Well, but the other thing that we shouldn't bring up is the fact that Sargon is in very shaky grounds monetarily. I'm not saying he's doing bad, but if his Patreon goes down, he's fucked. Like, he is royally fucked, because it doesn't sound like he has that much money in the savings. He doesn't have a regular job to supplement his YouTube career. So if he goes down, he might stay down.
Well, I hate to put it this way, but as a true capitalist, I have to say that is what the market would demand. And to Sargon, I would have to say, you are a fool for not having used your money properly.
Yep.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, and I'm sorry that you're going through this, and I wish I could help you, but I'm in no financial position to take care of people who don't know how to use money.
Well, I feel like everybody's been giving him advice from very successful people. Like the Warskis have been just rolling in the dough. So has Bering. So has
there's a difference between rolling in the dough and knowing how to spend it or knowing how to use it. Look, poor people aren't poor because they don't have money. Poor people are poor because they don't know how to use it.
They don't know how to manage their money.
That's a very general. What I'm referring to is the way he could have gone about marketing himself would have been way better. Like he could have sold a lot more merch early on. He could have set up.
Coulda, woulda, shoulda does not matter. It's not relevant. It's completely pointless. Yeah. At this point, look, I know Sargon's hurting, but he could honestly do a crowdfunder. I watched this video that he put out very recently on the Thinkery, and I was like, Sargon, you sound like a moron that doesn't know what to do. You sound like a small child that needs to be like grabbed by the hand and walked to the counter of the store. You really look like you have no idea what you're doing. And this is not what I expect from you. I was totally shocked by his video. I was really upset by his video. I'm like, are you asking for our opinions on how to market yourself? Are you asking for your opinions on how to monetize yourself? That's on you. You are the business owner of your business. You can make those choices on your own, and you should have made them. You should have had these contingency plans in place years ago when you started deciding to base a business off of picking fights. And I'm not bashing Sargon, but I'm sorry, he has made some very poor calculations throughout the course of his situation. He is in this situation because of his own choosing. And if he accepts responsibility for that, I'll have a great deal more respect for him than if he doesn't.
Exactly. And I'm a fan of Sargon. I'm not ashamed to say that.
I am too. I'm a huge fan of Sargon. He's one of my favorites.
To me, it's not a 50-50. To me, it's more like a 90-10.
I'll slap my own friend across the back of the head for using money in stupid ways.
Yeah.
And that's really what Sargon's in this situation. Look, I know he's married, he has a kid or whatever, and he has all these bills, he has all these expenses. I have 3 kids. I have a stay-at-home wife. I am a single income earner, and I manage all my shit because it's really not about what you make. It's about how you use it. And Sargon hasn't been responsible.
Yep.
So, and honestly, yeah, I'm gonna have to go ahead and agree with Feiner that like at this point he's just trolling. He's going for the kick. He's going for that laugh, rather than saying, is this a responsible action?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and I mean, he has these real rigid set morals and ethics for himself, but he just turns them off whenever he goes trolling.
Yeah, exactly. And look, you can't sit here and rip on people for having a rigid set of morals that they don't fulfill when it applies to them, and then do the same thing and not be a hypocrite. So, like, I don't know, this whole thing with Sargon frustrates me from time to time. I really want to just take him and shake him and be like, what the hell is wrong with you? You're at the spearhead of a movement, you idiot. You need to start getting your shit together.
A movement he started, no less.
Yeah, a movement that you were a major part of starting. I'm not going to give him full credit for it. Like, Dave Cullen's still my favorite YouTuber.
Granted.
But Sargon's like right behind him. And I really just want to shake him and be like, what the hell is wrong with you?
Well, at least he didn't rape anyone or kill anyone.
Oh, that's true. Or falsely accuse somebody of those things.
Right. He only made fun of a dead feminist or something like
that. I wouldn't even rape you.
That I'm sorry. No. I'm sorry.
I'm a dolphin. Brilliant. That's part of my culture. I'm sorry.
I'm sorry, but that statement was brilliant because it did exactly what he intended.
Yeah, I love it.
Didn't know what to say.
Exactly.
They didn't know how to respond to that.
Yeah. So they went ahead and said it anyway.
How to trigger an entire movement of feminism.
Yep.
I wouldn't even rape you.
What do you mean?
Am I not pretty enough? Wait a second. Did I just ask that?
I am.
It's a beautiful thing.
See, that's why I love the guy. Really?
Yeah. No. He is a brilliant commentator, but I do get frustrated with him from time to time, especially when he does this childish stuff that just comes back to bite him in the ass. And he should have known it was going to come back to bite him in the ass.
I would say he's smart and not street smart.
Yeah. I think that he and I would have been. And see, that's the thing is, a lot of people that are like that tend to be either like that their whole lives, or they get through about their mid-20s and they start like using some common sense. And it worries me that he's past his mid-20s.
He's in his mid-30s, I think.
Yeah, I know. He's around my age. So I look at him and I can feel myself getting older. Anyway, so do you guys have any news stories you'd like to bring up for the week?
Yeah, the YouTube layout, the new layout sucks.
Oh, yes, absolutely. Oh my God, I feel like, do you have any idea? It took me like an extra 30 minutes to set this stream up just because I couldn't find my content manager. I'm looking all over for my, like, where's the My Channel link on the drop down? Where the hell did it go?
It's also buggy as hell.
Yeah.
I was trying to watch a video in night mode and it would not work. Oh my God.
Oh man, I think they're at this point, they're like, bail left, bail right, throw the water out of the boat. We got to do something to save the sinking ship.
Oh God.
But yeah, YouTube's really pulling out all the stops trying to save their failing platforms. Anyway.
I don't know if that's true.
Really?
I think they want to get rid of the shitlords really fucking bad. Like,
yeah, speaking of which, I will be now hosting a new weekly video, and if you feel the need, you can tweet me directly at Dolphin_radio_. Any YouTube video that has been put in YouTube jail or restricted mode, please send me those links. Send them to me. I will feature all of them in my video. I'm going to be doing an advertisement for restricted content every Friday. And it's not going to be anything about me. It's just going to be listing video after video where you can find these videos. So if your video has been restricted, let me know. I'll get it up there. I'll get it on the list. And it's going to be a weekly thing. It's just going to be a list of all the links. Because the thing is with me is I've been looking, and you say the new layout sucks. And I absolutely agree with you. The search algorithm is sucking. So because like I'm seeing all these suggested videos, I don't want to watch any of them. Where's Black Pigeon Speaks? Where did he go? Like, why isn't his shit popping up anymore? Why isn't this guy's stuff popping up anymore? So no, at this point, I'm just going to put together like a YouTube guide, the TV guide version, YouTube guide of restricted content. So if you don't know where to find it, you can go to my video. Here's all the list. All the links will be in the description. I will demonetize all of those videos. They're just strictly for helping you guys find content that you otherwise couldn't find.
That sounds like a good idea. Yeah.
So yeah, please send me links. If you find a restricted video, if you find a restricted content video, send me the links. You can tweet it directly at me at Dolphin_radio_. I will be making a list every week of people's stuff that is being hidden in the shadows, and I will bring it out for you into the light.
Sounds good.
And I will do it free because I work for the oil pipeline company. So fuck YouTube. Yeah. Oh, and fuck those Dakota standoff people too. Anyway, this episode of the Dolphin Radio Show is brought to you by Unconscious Action. Unconscious Action. You don't even realize you're doing it. Be sure to check out the Finer Prince channel and the link of the description below. And Politely Atheist, also known as Tim Huggins, also known as Politely Atheist. His channel can be found also in the description below. Guys, thank you for being on the show. Why don't you give us a little bit of self-shilling?
All right. I'm the Finer Print. You can find my channel. Tim.
What, me?
Are you there?
Yeah.
Yeah, Tim.
Yeah.
Chill. So I try and do videos on the daily. They're vlog style, so it's just me bullshitting. Sometimes I trigger people, sometimes I don't. But for the most part, I try and be relatively polite. So please check it out.
Well, I'm not so polite. I actually say what I think, maybe sometimes a little too much. Yeah,
after my first interaction with you, Finer, I'm having a little trouble believing that you seem almost. No, you seem like a really nice guy. So.
Oh, thank you. Thank you.
Oh, you're welcome.
But no, I love taking the piss out of people, and I try to do it in a semi-intellectual way, at least trying. But that's about it. Yeah, come check me out. I upload about once a week, maybe twice if I have more than one video that I can respond to quickly. So yeah.
And also check both of these guys out through the Cunt Stream Network. You guys can check that out on, I think, just go surf looking for Cunt Stream. I guarantee you will find interesting stuff if you type Cunt Stream into the internet search browser.
Yep.
But thank you for joining us. I hope you guys enjoyed the show. We'll see you every Wednesday from 7 p.m. until whenever we finish. This is the Dolphin Radio Show, broadcast on a frequency too high for humans, signing off.